Hey, welcome, Amplify You family. I'm Michelle Abraham, your host. I'm here today with a really cool guest, Rick Coughlin. Rick is one of the founders of Grove Studios. Grove Studios are popping up in all sorts of really fun places, and they're here to make podcasters' lives easier. We're going to dive more into the history of Grove Studios and all about Grove Studios, but I wanted to introduce you to Rick. And Rick, thank you for being with us today.
For sure. Really my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, and we were connected by a dear friend of ours, another fellow podcaster, Dan McPherson. So I want to give out a shout out to Dan for always connecting with amazing people and always
Yeah.
connecting me with the amazing people that he meets. So I know this is the first time we've actually talked, but I've heard a lot about you guys, and I know Dan's a good friend of your guys's as well. So shout out to Dan McPherson on this episode for the connection.
Yeah, for sure. Big shout out to Dan. He's an amazing connector and an amazing business coach for us. We've been working with him for a number of years, and he's really helped us work through a lot of recoveries that we had to come through to get to the point where we are, and he's really helped us grow. So it's cool to meet other people that he's been involved with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dan and I met when we were traveling in Asia last year speaking, and we've just connected and just really helped supported each other's businesses. Dan's been a huge support in my business, and we launched his podcast. So guys, go check out his podcast, Dreams Are Real. So Rick, I want to dive into Grove Studios. Tell us a little bit about Grove Studios. What's the history behind it? Why you started it? And what's the vision?
Sure.
It's a loaded
So
question.
yeah, there's
Keep
a
me here
lot
for a while, right?
there's a lot embedded in there, but I'll try to be as brief as possible. I've been kind of not kind of, I guess, a lifelong musician, going way back. But I've, professionally done it for 25 years, performing on stages, both in Michigan and regionally. But um, that musician side of me has always been there. I've done other work to supplement that kind of income, but my passions really do lie in music, and they also lie in education. I was a teacher for 10 years, teaching seventh and eighth grade, and did music related stuff with students, although I didn't actually teach music, but I taught English. But either way, that passion never left, and one of the things that I always saw musicians struggle with was adequate rehearsal space. We really just saw a problem that existed around us, and we finally decided to solve it. As many musicians know, rehearsal spaces are either non-existent, and you're stuck in a basement or a garage, or somebody's mom's basement or somebody's grandma's garage, or really whatever you can find. And then from a sound quality standpoint, those are never very ideal situations, and the hours can be very difficult to access. Many musicians, while there are 1.4 million registered musicians with ASCAP and BMI in the United States, and then many more because there's about 25 million SoundCloud creators and uploaders. So, and that's around the world. So obviously many people are producing music. Many people struggle with adequate rehearsal space. And the other challenge is when there is rehearsal space, often there is a cost barrier. Depending on your real estate market, it can be incredibly expensive to rent or lease out a space, or even purchase a space and then build, soundproofing scenarios and everything else. And so, we dealt with that for a long time, and rehearsal spaces would start up, they would, fail and falter. And we were really just looking for a way to make it sustainable, affordable, and accessible for musicians and DJs and producers and podcasters, and audio engineers. Obviously, there are recording studios, but that's a very different thing than a rehearsal space. So we decided to start Grove Studios and put everything that we saw as a need into the concept.
Yeah, I love that you guys have combined like the rehearsal space and the recording studios together and under one roof, which is kind of unusual. And I would imagine now with like real estate and like houses, even like they're so close together now, like it's really hard to, it's even hard for me to record podcasts in my house. There's too many people, there's too much things. I'm actually in a co-working space right now, which is not equipped for the proper sounding. It looks very echoey.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, you
Yeah.
know, it's really challenging to find that space. So I think that's a really, you guys have found that really perfect like mixture of people that really need that. And I saw on Facebook recently that you guys, because of COVID and things that are going on right now, had some outdoor rehearsal space too, and that really felt like that met that need right now.
Yeah, people are still, people are coming back into the studio since June 1, and Michigan is, in phase 4 out of 5 phases of I guess you call it recovery. But there are definitely people that still don't feel 100% comfortable being indoors, particularly where singing is going on
Mhm.
and that sort of thing, or people don't, maybe feel comfortable wearing masks in that situation. So yeah, we have an outdoor space. It's basic, but
Mhm.
it's working for some people. We've already had some rentals in that space, so
That's
um,
cool.
it can't be that space can't be open 24/7 like our indoor spaces.
Mhm.
But we're located in an industrial park area,
Mhm.
and so there's no residential really to bother people. But we didn't think having people outside rehearsing, at 2 in the morning would sit well with the local authorities either. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure being in Michigan too, this is like going to be a seasonal one.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think no propane heaters, like they have on patios at restaurants, are really going to help out
Yeah,
once it
freeze
gets
your little
cold.
hands off, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Those
yeah.
vocal cords will get a little icy, I think.
No doubt, no doubt.
That's awesome. So you guys are in one location right now, or how many locations do you have right now?
We are. We're in Ypsilanti, Michigan, which
Hmm.
is, just outside of Detroit and Ann Arbor. We're kind of sandwiched in between the two,
Hmm.
which is a good location for us. We intend, our headquarters to be here,
Hmm.
but our plan is to scale to hundreds of locations
Yeah,
around the world, hopefully,
that's
and
great.
using a right now we're not in shipping containers. That's our
Mm.
long-term concept for scale,
Mm.
using repurposed shipping containers for our studio units.
Oh, cool. I love that idea because then, and do you think it'll be easy to soundproof a shipping container? It's a lot like smaller, denser kind of sounding space.
Yeah, I mean, it turns out that if you take two 20-foot high box shipping containers
Hmm.
and you smash them together,
Hmm.
you get about 320 square feet of
Hmm.
a very usable space, which is extremely adequate for bands to rehearse, podcasts to happen,
Hmm.
DJs to rehearse, and music to be recorded, given the technologies that we have. So, my one of my business partners is an architect who specializes in shipping container construction.
Cool.
So we're actually in the engineering phases, final engineering phases of that product, and the sound attenuation and sound proofing,
Hmm.
are somewhat conventional solutions that you might use in any other space,
Mm.
in a traditional stick built building.
Cool. That's great. We live off the grid where I live, and my husband's trying to build me like a little studio recording thing. So I should
Yeah,
really mention to him shipping container woodwork. I was worried that it would be too tinny, but I guess
yeah.
if we get the right combination of soundproofing in there, that could work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you we one of the things we've discussed actually is, even though this will be a service based business and providing the infrastructure and everything else around how people access, we have talked about actually selling the solution for people that are interested in having it,
Hmm.
on their property or something like that, if they have the land or space or means to do it. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can get incredible sound quality out of a shipping container.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that. So speaking of sound quality, and I know that's something that you're passionate about, what are some things that podcasters, you have some tips for podcasters on basically sound quality? You've heard a lot of music, a lot of a lot
For
of
sure.
recordings. What are some tips you can give our podcasters that are at home that are our podcasters want to improve their sound quality?
Yeah, for sure. You can get so sound attenuate. A lot of people talk about sound attenuation
Mm-hmm.
and soundproofing as if they're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Soundproofing is a very expensive process. Professional recording studios will go through that process to get things so to keep sound, mostly to keep sound from coming in, right? Because you're using high quality microphones that are very sensitive, ribbon microphones and tube microphones and that kind of thing, to get the best possible sound. Um, and that may be the case at home too, right? You might need to
Mm-hmm.
block some sound out, but it really could be as simple and cost effective as using some thick material or thick blankets to put over windows, for example, if you
Mm-hmm.
live in an urban area, for example. From a cost effective standpoint, you can buy acoustic treatments, acoustic foam, and those really vary in quality.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole you get what you pay for kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you can go online and you can find acoustic foam, and you can find really great deals. You can get giant stacks of this stuff, and it'll do something, but it also just depends on the size of the room. But
Mm-hmm.
really treating parallel surfaces in your rooms, whatever room you happen to be in. So that could be using things like sound diffusers, or sound, some kind of foam. But shipping blankets do
Mm-hmm.
remarkable things. I've seen some really cool solutions where shipping blankets have been sort of rolled up, and kind of creatively attached to walls, sort of hanging to break up those parallel surfaces that we all have in our homes and our offices and
Mm-hmm.
home offices. But it's really about that. It's breaking up the parallel surfaces. Even if you have a hard floor, parallel surface, if you
Mm-hmm.
have a hard ceiling, parallel surface.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we get the reverb from, when
Uh-huh.
there's
So that's
nothing
like if
diffusing
it's
the sound.
right. So if it's a hard floor and a hard ceiling, you want to have something in between there to break that.
Yeah.
That makes
Now,
sense. Yeah.
all of that can get really expensive, and there are
Mm-hmm.
some interesting solutions without doing all of that. There's a product called the Chaotica Eyeball, which is sort of a foam-like solution that wraps around a microphone, um, that can um, that can prevent that reverb. So it's the idea that you're treating the microphone rather than the space
Yeah.
in your space.
Interesting. I was going to ask you that because my brother, when he first started podcasting, he had a crate, and you put the foam in the crate, and then you put the microphone in the crate, and then
Yeah,
kind of stuck his head in there. And I was like,
yeah,
I wonder if that works better than like because he was in a fishbowl apartment, not
yep.
able to record really well. And it's interesting. I wasn't sure if it would do this the same with just like treating the microphone rather than like the entire room. But if that works, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, if you're handy, you can certainly build things like that, and there are products that clip onto microphone stands that kind of do the same thing. There's like a foam surround, um, and it'll prevent the sound from going in front of you and bouncing off a wall and coming back. But there is still sound. If there's a wall behind you, you're still going to get that. So it might be a combination of things, something like that, and then maybe if the wall is near behind you, treating the wall that's near you. We actually we've built sound panels before too. I mean, there's certain types of insulation that works best where you can build, with some basic wood framing and insulation and some fabric, really effective, um, using rock wool. You can get it at your local hardware store.
Rockwall. That's a new one. I haven't
Yeah,
heard that
no, it's
before.
actually rock wool.
Oh, Brock Wool. Okay,
Yeah,
I was
or
gonna say
the
Rockwall.
brand name I think is like Roxol.
Oh, okay,
You'll
cool.
see like Home Depot or Lowe's or
Hmm.
something like that. But yeah, there are a lot of products like that out there that you can use.
So if we're sitting here facing our microphone in our computer, is it more likely, is it better to have the sound like a wall behind, in front of us so that we're speaking towards it, or is it better for behind us?
It depends on whether or not the I think it's really, you just want to keep the sound from bouncing
Mm,
around. So if you, it depends on if can you treat the wall in front of you?
yeah.
If you can't, then you want to get one of these products where it'll clip to your microphone's stand,
Mm,
for example, and sort of cup around the microphone a little bit, and that would actually have the foam treatment on it.
mm,
And then if you have a wall behind you, you could maybe treat that wall. So
mm.
it just depends on your space, but you could certainly treat the wall in front of you, and the wall behind you.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I've seen those things where you put them over your head. I don't know if you've seen them. It's like a
Yeah.
record, the thing that you put over your
Yeah.
head, and like you're in the recording space.
Yep.
I'm like,
Those are
that's kind
really
of cool.
effective.
Really
They
effective.
are.
They work. I'm like, they look ridiculous, but I think that's maybe what I need to get. I
Yeah.
can't seem to find a good recording space anywhere.
They're a little pricey. But again, if you're handy, you could actually build something, or an isolation booth. A lot of recording
Mm,
studios have isolation booths. So building, you see it now, like in like co-working spaces, these sort of ISO booths
mm-hmm.
where you can step in and have a phone call or something like that. I, and those are pricey.
I'm in
Um,
something like that right now,
okay.
except for it's like, and it's got like a glass wall with
Yeah.
like sliding doors, and then it's very bouncy. So I apologize,
Yeah.
everyone. We're talking about good quality sound today. Don't take my word for it. But I
Well,
have worked on a
yeah.
project before where I saw they used clothing hangers, like a clothing rack that was like a metal square rack. They could raise it up high, and then they put the moving blankets over top of it and made kind
Yep.
of like a square around the recording. But that was really great. And it's the
Yeah.
first time I'd ever seen that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of things that you can do, on a budget, or with things you might even already have around the house, and you can do it inexpensively. But
Yeah.
from a cost perspective, the sky is definitely the limit.
And
Uh,
and also like from a cost perspective and also like a convenient perspective, I think what you guys are doing at Grove Studios is you're making it really affordable for us to record podcasts from, because there aren't really many spaces right now that are, they're that are of quality like that are affordable for podcasters that who are just starting out, maybe not making a huge return on their podcast at the moment. That bit of investment is, it's so worth it. And so that's amazing. I can't wait till the day you guys have hundreds of locations everywhere.
yeah,
We could just send everyone there. Just don't bother getting your home set up. Just go to the studio to record. It's going to sound way better.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, and we recognize that, it's not always possible to treat the space that you're in. What you might be renting an apartment, and you can't
Mhm.
really affix anything to the walls, or um, you know, you have a family and you have little kids running around. I mean, there's lots of reasons that people, need to do their recording elsewhere. I mean, um, being a music professional of many years, you'd be surprised how little music I actually do in my house from a recording or, professional standpoint, just mainly because of the distractions.
Mhm.
There's plenty of things to do around the house.
Mhm.
And I'm much more productive from a professional standpoint if I'm in a studio environment. And we think that will work for a lot of people.
Absolutely, especially when you've got this solution that works for people. What's your vision with Grove Studios, and how far out is that expansion looking?
We talk about our big, hairy, audacious goal,
Hmm.
and it's kind of that's a 10-year plan. We don't imagine hundreds of locations being able to happen fast,
Hmm.
uh, um, you know, unless we get some kind of amazing investment and
Hmm.
venture partner who sees and parallels our vision. But that hundreds of locations is a 10-year plan, but certainly we have a 5-year plan and a 2-year plan. And we do imagine, having at least 3 to 4 more locations within the next 3 to 5 years, or 2 to 5 years. So, you know, it's the idea, and this is where Dan's coaching comes in. It's
Yeah.
like you can build 3 locations and make sure all of your systems and everything is in place, and you do that really well, and you can go from 3 to 35
Hmm.
very quickly if the investment is there and the systems are proven and working well. So
Yeah, that's
we think
awesome.
once all of that is worked out, and we've worked out a lot so far, that we can scale fast.
Yeah, that's amazing. And opened a co-working space back like 7 or 8 years ago before co-working spaces were a thing. And I think like had I been doing it like today would be like a space that has that soundproofing that available for not only just people like musicians and or creative people, but also like video recording and podcasting, because everyone's doing all this stuff online. And
Yeah.
it's so hard to set up. I know I struggle so bad with like places to like find to record. Like I often am recording outside or in the forest or somewhere strange. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I've actually taken my boat and a battery in the middle of the lake and recorded there just so I
Wow.
could
That's
actually
awesome.
get good Wi-Fi. We live off the grid, so it's hard to get good Wi-Fi and and good sound quality.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I know the struggle, so it's be so convenient to have somewhere to go to.
Yeah.
So
No doubt.
yeah, it's amazing. So Rick, any last bit of advice for our podcasters or people who are thinking about podcasting, starting a podcast, who have a podcast already, from your years of experience, just seeing so many things produced? What any last bit of advice for us?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of an audio expert in terms of that, and for me, podcasting is actually something. I think we're on our we're on like number 60, but we haven't done anything beyond podcasting, doing sort of this live streaming kind of thing to get our feet wet. That's just what felt right to us. I guess if I was giving out any advice, I would say if you're entertaining doing a podcast, just start, because there are so many things you learn along the way just by doing it. That's been the case for us, and we didn't, you know, maybe this is foolhardy advice. I think it just depends on what kind of a learner you are. I know that Dan would be listening and chiding me for not having a better plan out of the gate, because he's a magnificent planner. But we were in sort of this emergency situation where we were forced to take our business online, so to speak, because we
Yeah.
couldn't be in the studio working with clients and things. So um, we just went and started doing it.
Hmm.
And um, I just think you can learn a lot that way.
Hmm.
Obviously, there's professionals like you to engage with, which you and I are going to have an offline
Hmm.
conversation about how you can help us with podcasting, or getting our podcast more organized.
Hmm.
Um, but certainly, sound quality matters,
Hmm.
and there are inexpensive things that you can do out of the gate. Um, if you're in the Detroit area, I'd highly recommend you come to Grove Studios and come to our podcast studio, because it's affordable. We have amazing equipment that would, for anyone else, be a good $1,500 or more investment. Just the mixer alone is $500 or $600, and then microphones and shock mounts and stands, and you know how all this can go.
Hmm.
And it's built for 4 people, so we have 4 microphones, but there's cost to that too. But I'd say quality microphone, definitely
Hmm.
have one of those. And you can get a USB microphone that's going to sound really great, for $150
Hmm.
out of the gate. Computer microphones, not as good, right? The built-in ones, but having a quality one. Um, and then, treating the room as you can. I think
Hmm.
those are the
Yeah.
big ones.
Those are great. That's great advice. And I love what you said about just getting going. Just get going. We have a
Yeah.
saying where it's like, if you're not embarrassed by your first few episodes, you just waited too long to do it. And you just gotta,
Yeah.
that perfection comes from the action of doing it and getting more
Yeah.
comfortable and getting better. I mean, nobody likes to rehear their first few episodes. They're
No,
kind of a
no.
little
I
rough.
still can't hear it. I watch it and analyze myself, to
Yeah.
scrutinize my skills, but I definitely I still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But after 60, I'm definitely a lot better at it than I was before.
And feeling more
And
confident.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And we talked about it for so many years. Oh, we should do a podcast. Yeah, we should
Mhm.
really do a podcast. And then COVID hit, and we went, we have to do a podcast. And so we
Yeah.
just started doing it.
And
And
so
we did
you
it.
guys are using it as a way to communicate with your audience through your podcast? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And really like, and really try to lift up our artists in the community,
Yeah, I
the
bet they're
greater
hit pretty
Southeast
hard, a lot of
Michigan.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They lost their gigs. They lost their
Oh.
tours. And we're looking for ways to help them monetize for
Mhm.
live streams, and we're trying to do that ourselves because I don't think this stuff's going anywhere after COVID. I think it'll be just as relevant, but
Yeah,
but
and
it's
if you're
definitely extra important now.
absolutely, and like I work with a lot of speakers too, and like all their engagements are gone, but finding
Yeah.
a way to kind of do what you do online. Thank God I worked online because I can imagine like how devastating that must have been for a lot of people, like trying to now recreate what you do, but in a different modality for a different kind of audience. And I think musicians especially, it's going to be challenging that streaming and monetizing it too. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. Hope there's some
So,
new inventions in there, some new things coming out for them because it's going to be
yeah.
challenging.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, there are some exciting products and some exciting platforms that are boosting and lifting and gaining more traction. So um, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. Well, I'm looking forward to following your guys' journey. And Rick, where can people find out more about Grove Studios and where you guys are, your location, and everything?
Yeah, so it's just Grove Studios dot space um, on your web browser. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch for any of those
Twitch.
Twitch
Hmm.
folks out there. We when we live stream our podcast, it
Yeah.
goes to all those platforms, and we basically just make mistakes in front of everybody until we perfect
Awesome.
it.
I love it. And how's your following on Twitch going? That's an
you
interesting one we
know,
haven't talked about. Mhm.
yeah, I'm still, Twitch is an interesting place. I mean, it's a gamer platform
Mhm.
largely. So, we've had our biggest interactions have been when we had a DJ that goes by the name of Veston Tyler,
Mhm.
do a show with us. And, he uses chip tune as the genre of, EDM that he does. And so it's got a lot of video game sounds in it. And
Oh,
he's already
cool.
pretty popular on Twitch. So,
Mhm.
we got a lot of
That was
traction,
helpful.
that way. But
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say we have a very big Twitch following or anything like that yet. We're still kind of learning that platform.
I think
It's
everyone is.
pretty unique.
It's
Yeah, it's unique.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
unique, but
Yeah.
it's cool. I think it's
Haven't ventured
amazing.
over there yet. One of
Yeah,
these days, maybe.
yeah. It is a lot of opportunities over there. I think but it's a
Absolutely.
challenge. Oh, and we're on YouTube too. So if you want to see any of
Awesome.
our podcasts or our streaming performances, we stream them to YouTube as well.
Awesome. And you guys have a different domain, different YouTube. You sell Grove Studios on YouTube.
It's just, yeah, I mean, you can search for Grove Studios on
Okay.
YouTube, but if you go to the website, there's links to all of our social media platforms there. So it's just grovestudios.space.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to catching up with you again and seeing the progress that you guys are making and making this podcaster's life so much easier. So thank you. And can look forward to chatting with you guys about your podcast. So thank you, Rick,
For
for being
sure.
here with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to your audience.
Absolutely. All right, Amplify You family. Until next time, be safe out there and get your podcast launched.